Welcome, or welcome back. Didn't expect for this video to start. But apparently it was meant to be. I must have put my hand up in front of the camera. So, thinking about a little brief conversation. It's funny to me how much even the conversations that I have with people if I'm not paying attention and careful about it. I guess that's like anything else though, you know? If you're not paying attention and careful about it, you'll slip back into, or I'm not saying you will. There's the tendency, potentially, to slip back into old habits, at least in my experience. And it was very brief interaction, very brief, based around just a couple of sentences about eye contact. And I kind of made a statement like, it seems like a lot of people want to avoid eye contact with me. And really, I didn't mean that. It was an overgeneralization. Based on my current feelings in the moment, I suppose. Given that, in large part, I guess you could say that my experience is reflected for me to feel being ignored or disregarded or whatever. I know that's just an illusion, and really that I'm just creating that for myself. And it's easy for me to see that, really. I mean, there's been several phases in my life several phases in this experience. Gosh. Trying to teach myself how to speak differently about this reality and this experience. And that's part of it. Like it's like a reprogramming process. Catching myself saying stuff like, I don't really mean that. I didn't really mean to say it like this. I don't believe that to be true, really. And so this ties in, I suppose, because anyway, there's been phases of my life that I've avoided eye contact with other people, like super low experience of self-esteem, like didn't think that I was valuable in those moments, or didn't see the value in myself in those moments. It's exactly what they want. And I'm not saying anything about, or I can't say anything about anybody else in that regard. I do, however, understand where that experience comes from and why it is that maybe those people, whoever it is that I would be referring to in this instance, quote unquote, avoiding eye contact with me, which is not that important, I suppose. I can see how they would be going through the same thing. Programming is insidious. And sometimes I wish that it didn't appear to be the case that from 0 to 7, as I've said before, we're in a theta wave brain state, which is hypnosis, as far as I understand it. And speaking of habits, you know, the hunched shoulder thing, constantly noticing this in myself and trying to correct it. Another thing that, you know, we would very much like to blame on something outside of ourselves, like the phones or technology in general, but nope, this is something we did to ourselves too. And this is something that we're accepting on a regular basis. For anybody that's consistently distracting themselves with their phone, which I can't say that I'm not guilty of, and gosh, I mean, that's one of my, it doesn't belong to me, so I'm not going to call it mine, but that's one of the vices, if you wish to refer to it as such, that I hold on to, or the things that I hold on to as a vice. Maybe that would be a better way to put it, because it's not a vice in itself. But if I make it into a vice by having some sort of a negative relationship with it or whatever, then I suppose that's what it makes it. So I suppose, yeah, gosh. Recognizing these subtle, insidious programs deciding I don't want them and reprogramming, putting something else in. I'm not going to say that you can't just wipe the program out. Although it may be true that that is the case, I'm not certain enough about that to say that. All I will say is that it is more helpful if you have a program there, and if the brain likes programs and patterns and traveling down the same path, like the nerves that fire together, wire together kind of a thing. If you're going to have that kind of thing go on, you may as well replace it with something better that you like more, that gives you better outcomes, rather than try and destroy it outright. Kind of going back to the whole using violence and not expecting violence in return kind of thing. That's what it amounts to, I suppose, just within your head. You're being violent with yourself in that instance. Essentially, sorry to be vulgar, but saying fuck you to your brain. Like, here, I know you like these things, and I know you've been holding on to this thing for a long time, but no, not anymore. And just leaving it open. The void contains everything. And if you leave a void inside of your head and aren't consciously, intentfully replacing it, why is it not reasonable to believe that just whatever will fill its place? Sounds reasonable to me. Just amazing. Amazing how everything reflects. Everything reflects. Everything is telling you about you. Whether you want it to be or not. And it's incredible. But anyway, I don't know where I started this rambling. But I think I'll end it here. Just remember, there's only one thing that you have to do in this life, and that's to remember who you are. It's all a remembrance game. But either way, I love you. Peace and blessings. Until next time.